This is the point. Ego grasping, the root delusion, the one that's so primordial, way behind, underneath everything, it's kind of frantic. It's based in fear. It's frantic. It's desperate. So attachment, which is its main voice, is then hugely frantic to only get what it wants. So attachment is like this junkie inside us that only wants what I want. It wants what I want every millisecond. And the more clear we have a view of what we like, I want chocolate cake, I want the green light, I want only the nice things. Attachment is junkie for only the nice things. And that means if we had to write down, we'd all have an elaborate philosophical view of the universe, who I am, what I like, what I don't like. And the more rigid we are about all that, because then we think that's right. So the millisecond we meet anything that doesn't fit with what my attachment wants, that's wrong. Therefore, you are wrong. Therefore, and then of course, if we turn it against ourselves, that's guilt. So then I am wrong. So this is the irony of ego, you know. We set up this insane view of what we think is mine and what's good and what I need, what will make me happy. And the more rigid we are about it, the more mental breakdown when the second we don't get it. Of course, everybody else is wrong. Everything else is wrong. Look at the fundamentalists. Well, the Buddha would really say that all these delusions are fundamentalist in their nature. There's no space, there's no wiggle room, there's no sense of perspective, there's no ability to see something from another point of view. The more we are fixed in attachment and anger and jealousy and the neuroses, the more rigid we are, therefore the more right and the more wrong. And that's why we all go crazy and why we harm each other. It's just the way that ego is. It's so ironic. And another way of putting it more philosophically, more technically, that the root delusion, this ego grasping, which is this mistaken conception of the way the whole world exists, this ego grasping makes everything very concrete, very absolute, very fixed. We have a fixed sense of who I am. And the more you're fixed in that sense of who you are, that if you've got strong attachment, then you only like carrots this shape, and you only like chocolate cake that kind, and you only want vanilla ice cream, and you only want that kind of person, and you only want that kind of football team. Everything is so rigid, and the more concrete our mind is, which is ego, the more tight and the more narrow. So the smallest thing can make anybody, you can get a mental breakdown. Because that's the nature of ego. Another way of putting it is, it's got no feeling of any interdependence, no sense of dependent arising. It's the opposite to dependent arising. And as we all know from the Buddha's teachings, everything exists interdependently. Things are far more subtle and more nuanced than we think, you know. So it's not, the more concrete we are, the more ego we have, the more attachment we have, the more anger we have, and the more suffering we have. It's the nature of ego. So you can say from the spectrum of really intense ego to liberation is a spectrum of lessening the grasping, lessening the concreteness, and developing the capacity to be more spacious and interdependent and more patient and seeing things from other perspectives. Does that make sense? And also, it's totally self-centered by definition. Totally self-centered. Everything is my view. Nobody, you know, we can see it when you think of yourself, but if you think of really selfish, neurotic people, the view of the universe is so narrow and it's impossible to hear anybody else's point of view. It's impossible. You can see it. Impossible. That's what fundamentalism is. And that's what delusions are. They're fundamentalist in their nature.